Hello my friends. About 3.5 years ago when I bought my cabinet saw, I noticed there's a great deal of wasted space underneath the right wing. And I'm like, what can I do with this area? And I got on YouTube and I seen there's a bunch of makers out there that's making cabinets to put underneath the right wing of their table saw. I'm like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a YouTuber that makes a cabinet to put under the right wing of their table saw. But I want mine to be different. I want mine to be special. I want it to be a work of art. I want people to admire it from afar, be in awe of it up close. I want people to be, seriously, it's a box containing other boxes that I like to call drawers that hold stuff. One thing that I was encountering as far as when I'm thinking about designing this is everything in my shop is mobile. The only thing that's not mobile is my workbench, miter saw station, and my dust collector. Everything is on wheels. And this space is used as a garage as well. And I know what you're saying, Donnie, a wood shop is much more important than a garage. And I agree with you. But come 5 o'clock in the morning in the wintertime, it's nice not to scrape snow off your truck when you have to go to work. But anyways, everything's mobile. And when I designed this cabinet, when I was thinking about designing this cabinet, I wanted something that would move along with my table saw as one. Now I could move the table saw in place, then slide the cabinet underneath it. But I wanted something where it would kind of move as one. And I think I've got that problem solved. We'll find out. Anyhow, enough jibber jabber. Let's make some sawdust. I know there's a lot of people out there that have track saws, and you've got the scale along the side to register your depth of cut. And mine has imperial also with metric. I got the one, I wanted to make sure I had imperial on it because that's what I use. But when I got the saw, it was a little bit cumbersome to get it dialed in so I'm not cutting too deep into my waste piece. So what I started doing not too long after I got the saw is I'll take my stop, take this stop, take it all the way down, put my saw on my track underneath my workpiece, have my waste block underneath, and I put the saw all the way down. I bring my stop block up to where it's touching the saw, then I may back it off just a little bit so I am cutting through my workpiece, and my depth is set. Doesn't matter how thick my wood is, what that measurement is, my depth is set perfectly. I got these TSO guide rails not long after getting my track saw, and I really do like them. They can give you the repeatability and the accuracy of if the piece is coming right off the table saw. What I'm doing right here, I'm positioning the stops to the width of cut that I'm wanting, and I like to put them side by side to that way I can make sure they're everything's kind of lining up. I feel like this is kind of like a measuring twice, cut once type thing, but they work really well. And with those guide rails in place, I can just repeat that cut over and over again and not have to worry about measuring each time. Here I'm squaring off the end of the plywood. I never like to leave the factory edge. This is the first time I've used a parallel guide with a guide square. I will use this setup more often. It's nice to have a stop right at the end of the track and you don't have to pull out the tape measure each time to measure off your cut. When I have multiple pieces like this, that's close to the same size, I like to put a little piece of blue painter's tape on it
and mark what that piece is. It just keeps me a little better organized, and I know what piece I'm working with, and I don't have to keep measuring it to find out.
I chose to use a rabbet joint when building my cabinet, and all a rabbet joint is the removal of some material along the edge, and it creates like this little lip or shelf. That way when I place the top on, it rests on that material. There's structure there to help support the top. The same way with the bottom. I put a rabbet joint in that because I'm going to have casters in this bottom plate. And all that weight is going to be distributed into the side. So there's structure here to help support that. Now I have seen a lot of people use dominoes, pocket screws, or dowels to put cabinets together. And I think that's perfectly fine. But in this case, if you just do a butt joint here and I have casters and I'm having weight on this bottom plate, the only thing that I would have holding this cabinet together would be the dowels, dominoes, or pocket screws. All that weight is going to be placed on those fasteners. And with this way this is built, like this with the rabbet, I have structure here to help support that. That way it's not going to go anywhere. The same way with the top. If I place the top with pocket screws, dowels, or dominoes, the only thing that's holding that top together is the fasteners. Now, there's going to be some weight on this top because the saw, it's going to help support the saw if I have a lot of building materials over there that I'm working with. So there's going to be some weight that's going to come down, and that's going to have to help support that. Now, since I'm using a rabbet joint, that has structure here to help support that. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with pocket screws, dowels, or dominoes. Those are perfectly acceptable joints. I just think in this case, a rabbet is the better joint.
I like to use a push pad when I'm cutting the rabbets. This not only helps me push the piece through the dado blade, but also helps me push it down towards the table. The dado blade will sometimes want to lift the piece a little bit as you're pushing it through, and you won't get a very accurate cut. This will just kind of help ensure that. You will also notice that I have pieces of blue tape on close to the edges of the workpiece. I like to use the blue tape just to mark the locations where I want to cut the rabbet at. That way I don't have to worry about marking it with a pencil and trying to sand out the pencil lines later. I just remove the piece of tape and the piece is good to go.